Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chaotic Little Book Corner. My name's Acacia. Today I'm going to be doing my top 5.5 favorite books of the year so far. So the reason that I say and a half is because I have a book that I haven't finished, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be another favorite, so that's where I'm at with that. So let's dive into these. First is going to come as no surprise, The Doll of This Alphabet by Camelia Gradova. This is absolutely a fantastic short story collection. It is surrealist, it is beautiful, it is breathtaking, it is fabulous. I love it. It came in a moth box. I'm so happy I picked up this book with that moth box. I haven't read the other short story collection that came with it, but I'm excited to do so. This book is fantastic. It has strange occurrences, it has some dystopian to it, it has some darker elements, some scariness to it. It's beautiful, it's breathtaking, and I love it. I highly recommend this short story collection. If you are new to the short story collections, this one is definitely in the stranger worlds and like a little bit more obscure, but it is still a great book. And if you want to start with a 5-star read, start here. Then we have This is Sufficient Grace. This is by Amy Estes, and this is a story that takes place in the rural area of Wisconsin. It takes place in a rural community, which is a very religious community, and it is following two young girls, Ruth and her cousin Naomi. The two of them live in this community and are trying to grow up in this community and find a place in the world, and trying to understand some of the things that happen within this community, whether they be good or bad, and why this community is the way it is. It is a very withheld community, it is very controlled, and it has a lot of elements to it that I really relate to as far as what my own community is like, or my home community is like. I can't really call them my own community because I'm not really tight with my community, but where I'm from, this is very similar to it. So there's that. Then The Lost Daughter Collective by Lindsay Drager. Now, this one I absolutely fell in love with. This is so strange and so obscure and so quirky. It is actually one of the most confusing books I've ever read, but I loved it. This book takes place in a time where a little girl is a child, and she's hearing stories from her father about a bunch of children, or a bunch of men who have lost their children, who are either Dorothy's or Allison's, so either dead or just missing. And she is hearing these stories from her father, and then it flashes forward to her as an adult, and she is an ice sculptor. Now, that is really the only premise of the book that I think I can explain to you without getting too confusing and too strange. So, I highly recommend this book. I do recommend that you go into it knowing that you may not understand it on the first read, but it is totally worth it, and the reread. Then we have Grace. This is by Natasha Dion. This is fantastic. I am absolutely in love with this book. I highly recommend it to anybody who is interested in a slave narrative, the history of the Black culture in the U.S., how slaves were treated, what the background was there, what it was like to try and run for freedom, how that experience went. I really, really highly recommend this. I really enjoyed it. I think it's brilliant, beautiful, bold, and breathtaking. I love this. Hot. Hot, hot, hot. Iced coffee. Damaged People by Bonnie Rosowski. This book was fantastic, fabulous. I really enjoyed it. It is really dark, though. It comes from a perspective of a young boy who has fallen in love with a young girl who's just wild and crazy, and this is just the beginning of the book. You meet her and him, and then you go back and you start to realize that his father and his father's father have all been through traumas and have all kind of raised their sons in an anxiety-ridden world and have kind of caused this higher anxiety level within each other. And it comes from the point of view of the grandfather, the father, and the son, and you kind of just learn who's done what to who and how they've experienced each other and how they keep kind of harming the cycle of trauma and anxiety and intensifying it. Really brilliant. I loved it. And then my half is this. This is my most anticipated book of the year. This is Lost Boy by Christina Henry. I was lucky enough to be sent a copy of this for review from Penguin Press, and I am so excited. This is so good, so wonderful. It is so dark and so morbid. If you have a really light stomach, do not read this. It is actually a little more violent than Alice, I'm gonna say. At least it's more violent from like the get-go, if that makes sense. Like Alice, you kind of like ease into the violence. This one, there's no easing in. It's just violent all the way. I think so far it's really, really beautiful, really, really well done. I'm really enjoying it, and it definitely shows the darker elements of Peter and Peter Pan's world. And it is the story is, the premise is that Captain Hook was actually originally a lost boy, and he was originally the first lost boy that Peter brought to Neverland. And it is the story of Captain Hook before he became Captain Hook, and his name was Jamie, and he was just a lost boy. So I'm really enjoying that. So those are my top 5.5 books of 2017 so far. I am so excited to continue reading and find more books and enjoy more stories and see if I can kind of push any of them around, where they're going to end up in the long run. And can you hear my window? It's like windy and hot here. Just crazy. But yes, I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching.